Let me take a moment and talk about Riverside.fm. It allows you to record studio quality audio and up to 4K video. When you need to record audio and video, Riverside.fm can do it. So if you're looking for a hero platform for all your recording needs, from podcasts to webinars to any video content, Riverside.fm. I've got a promo code for you where you'll receive a 30% discount on the first 3 months of your subscription. I'll give it to you twice. The promo code is SHIPIT. All one word, SHIPIT, and you'll pick up a 30% discount on your first 3 months of your subscription. Riverside.fm.
In this episode of Pigskin Dispatch's early look at pro football, we take a look at the professional football champions of 1900 and 1901, the Homestead, Pennsylvania Stars, and their battle with another PA team for the title. It's all coming up in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with PigskinDispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history, and to our series on early professional football. Now, we've been taking a look at real early professional football, and we're going to do that once again. We took a little bit break during the holidays, but we are back talking about another early team from Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, that is. And the best pro team in 1900 was most definitely the Homestead Library team. Now, Homestead is a town in the Pittsburgh area, Western Pennsylvania. And we've talked before on how William Chase Temple took over the Duquesne Country and Athletic Club, becoming the first individual owner in professional football in 1898. By 1900, most of the Duquesne C and AC players were hired by the Homestead Library and Athletic Club, offering them a higher wage than their previous employer did. But that was because William Chase Temple left Duquesne and went to Homestead Library's team and was paying that team. And he was also the minority owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates then. He took over the payroll of the squad in that early 1900. Now, when he paid his players a reported $50 to $100 a game in 1900, and the results of the expense were clearly rewarded with the first of 2 undefeated seasons. The Wikipedia poster has a shared schedule of results for Homestead in 1900. First game that season took place on October 6th at Steelworks Park in Homestead. The crew defeated the Pittsburgh College by a score of 37-0. October 13th saw another home game at Steelworks Park as the Stars whitewashed the nearby Altoona Athletic Club at 58-0. October 20th saw the tightest contest for the season for Homestead as they narrowly escaped Athletic Park in Greensburg, PA, with a 6-5 win over the Greensburg Athletic Association. October 27th had the team from the Detroit Athletic Club travel to Homestead to suffer a 54-0 shellacking at the hands of the Stars. November 3rd, the Homestead 11 traveled across town to face another local rival, the Latrobe Athletic Association at Athletic Park in Latrobe, PA, winning 11-0. November 6th had the grudge match. This is just 3 days after that game against Latrobe. But the very bitter group of the Duquesne Country and Athletic Club, who just lost William Temple Chase just the year before in most of their roster, they defeated Duquesne 10-0 to stay untarnished. And November 10th saw a second game against Greenberg. Remember, they had a 6-5 contest earlier in the year, but this time it was in the friendly confines of Steelworks Park and Homestead. And this time there was no doubt remaining on who was the better team, the Stars posting a 12-0 victory. Now, November 17th, Lehigh became the next victim at Steelworks Park with a 50-0 drubbing. November 24th, the Akron East Ends traveled to Homestead with the Stars again victorious by a score of 30-0. And on November 29th, they wrapped up the season. And it was the Latrobe Athletic Association who again tried their hands at knocking off the Stars, this time at Steelworks Park. And the hometown touch proved to be 1 point better than the previous matchup of these two squads, with Homestead gaining a 12-0 victory to cap off that brilliant season. Well, 1901 was another great year, and the roster budget in 1901 was right around $25,000, and it sported a top-notch group with former Brown University star Dave Fultz, who played the previous year, Bob Shiring from Pittsburgh. Remember, we've talked about Bob Shiring before with his great-grandson, Greg Fisseri, who's wrote a book on him. It's going to be coming out soon, but we talked about him when he played for Massillon in the professional ranks just a few years after that. Penn's Pete Overfield, Bemis and Holly Pierce, both from the Carlisle Indian School. We talked about them back in the World Series of football that took place just another year or two from this time. Art Poe from Princeton, Hoppy Hunt and Daft Gammons, formerly of Brown University, Fred Crolius from Dartmouth, and Maxon from Maryland, Frank Woodley from Penn, and Arthur Moss from University of Kansas. McNulty of Notre Dame, Weinstein and Shields also from Pittsburgh, and Neiman from University of Cincinnati. And then there was also Perry Hale, the former fullback of Yale and coach at Exeter. Many of these players, including Fultz, who played for the Philadelphia Athletics, Gammons played for the Boston Bean Eaters, and Crolius, he played professional baseball during the summer months. All three of those played professional baseball. Now, so the Homestead team went undefeated in 1901, defeating mostly college teams like Penn State, Brown University, and Baltimore Medical College, amongst others. And this is a team that until Pennsylvania's largest city, Philadelphia, challenged Homestead to a game to determine who the top pro team in the nation was. Now, Philadelphia had a great team too, headed by former Penn star Blondie Wallace. We've talked about Blondie quite a few times on this podcast. The City of Brotherly Love contestants were aptly named the Philadelphia Quakers by Wallace and Company. Remember, Wallace played for Penn, and they were the Penn Quakers, so they became the Philadelphia Quakers. It would be a first professional franchise to use the moniker of the Quakers, but definitely not the last to do so, because there was a Pennsylvania Quakers team in the 1920s, if you remember, in the Red Grange League. The Quakers were good, too. A wealthy Philly fan even offered a championship cup to be awarded to the winner in a match between the two teams. The title game between Homestead and Philadelphia was heavily bet upon both sides, as reported by the Newcastle News on November 20th in a story where it was said at least $10,000 had already been bet in Pittsburgh on a Philadelphia Homestead football game. The Pittsburgh Press, that very same day, November 20th, claimed that the betting was at least $3,000 to $5,000, with coach of Lafayette, Dr. Newton, who played against both teams during the season, predicted a win for the Steel City team. The game was highly anticipated and was finally played in Philadelphia on November 23rd, 1901. Both sides claimed that their teams were ready. Captain Blondie Wallace had a new Quaker reinforcements arrive from the top college squads arriving to his roster, and Captain Fultz claimed his squad was in top shape, ready for their toughest opponent of the season. The highly touted game was finally played, and the Homestead Stars found victory by the tune of 18-0 on two Arthur Poe scores. You can read more about the game in our friend Greg Fisseri's upcoming book titled Gridiron Legacy. Remember, Bob Shiring was his great-grandfather for Greg Fisseri. So, that is just a tremendous team to go 2 years in a row, go undefeated, and, just had very little points scored up against them. And, even when they played Philadelphia's Quakers for that early pro football championship for the Cup, they beat them 18-0. So just those 5 points scored earlier in the season by a local team that they played. So there we go. Once again, we're glad you joined us for this early look at professional football, and we hope that you'll join us again tomorrow for some great football history on the Pigskin Dispatch podcast. Till tomorrow, everybody, have a great Gridiron Day. That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Jean Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.